Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have the latest from the live radar, run for the latest UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, as this weekend is going to be the best weekend in terms of temperatures we've had in many months. Temperatures quite widely into the mid-teens, maybe even a few spots the upper teens, as we do see this southerly wind continuing to dominate. We are going to see some fairly mild air, but it will also be coming from the southwest, with a bit of low pressure coming in off the Atlantic, and that's why we are still seeing a bit of rain around, some thicker cloud showers as well. However, it's all going to reverse into Monday. Instead of a southerly wind, we start to see a north or northeasterly developing, and we are going to see temperatures go from 5 degrees above average to around 5 to 8 degrees below average come Tuesday afternoon. We all are going much colder, widespread overnight frost, and temperatures by day struggling to get much above the mid-single digits. Now, of course, this time of year we are starting to see stronger sunshine, longer days, so of course we're not going to be as cold as if we saw this similar pattern in January, but it will still feel very cold out there. The wind chill coming in off the North Sea will make it feel like it's just hovering around freezing, to be honest, and with very cold air aloft, low dew points, and the air coming in off the North Sea, there is a real possibility of some quite hefty convection in places which would have a wintry flavour, no matter where you are given the intensity and the direction of this wind. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have a look at the latest UKV and then have a look at those longer range charts, looking at how long and how severe this colder spell could be. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. And remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now, if you start on the live radar, as you can see at the moment, it is mostly dry, but we are seeing pretty thick cloud and on and off rain, especially in the north and northwest. This will continue to kind of spiral around. We'll see it coming on and off, but as I said, it will be mainly focused in the west, more sunshine and those warmer temperatures further eastwards. Now, recording this around 7 o'clock in the evening, and look how mild it is. Sun's already set, but temperatures still well into the double digits, as we are in a really quite mild spell for this time of year. On the thresholds of calling it warm, but I'd say more widely high teens, maybe touching 20 degrees. That's kind of where I'd start to say it's warm, but still, regardless, very pleasant. And over this weekend, wherever you see sunshine, it will feel really warm out there. Now, if you look at the latest UKV, you can see those bits and bobs of rain continue to spiral around through this evening and into tomorrow. There will be a few more bits in the west, but where sun breaks out in the east, it will feel very pleasant. It doesn't actually look too wet into Sunday. It looks pretty stunning there as we do head into the afternoon. And then you can see the wind direction shifts. That cloud and rain just to the north of Scotland, instead of heading northwards, it starts heading southwards, and this is that northerly wind pushing in. The cold air fully arrives for all Monday into Tuesday, so Monday for northern areas, Tuesday more for southern areas. But you see we're all into this very cold air mass. Wintry showers along northern and eastern coasts could come inland with a bit of convection, being more widespread, some disturbances around, but generally just a very cold and potentially wintry feel out there, with that north or northeasterly wind. Now, of course, the air mass is a pretty dry air mass in terms of the dew points are very low. Cloud won't be particularly thick, other than where we see some convection getting going. So generally, we will see lots of sunshine. So although it will be cold and it will feel very cold, it will actually be pretty sunny and it will look pretty pleasant, just feel very raw. Now, if you look at the upper air temperatures, you can see we are well above average at the moment, around 4 or 5 degrees above average, maybe even slightly higher at times through this weekend, maybe up to 7 or 8 degrees there at 850 HPA, but just keep in mind what that is, 8 degrees positive. Now, look what happens over the next few days. We transition well below freezing once again and get down to -7, -8 degrees below freezing, so almost a 15-degree temperature swing there in the matter of a couple of days. And you can see we are all in the very cold air come Wednesday and throughout the rest of the week. Now, there is a risk later on in the week of seeing some even colder air, maybe even the -10 isotherm moving in. That's all dependent on the exact wind direction. If it comes straight in from Scandinavia, Denmark and the Baltics, then we could see something that cold. However, if it's more of a northeasterly wind coming more off the North Sea with a bit more of effect there from the slightly milder sea surface temperatures, then it probably won't get quite as cold. So we'll have to wait and see. But regardless, looking very chilly through all of next week. And we see the max temperatures as we do head into Saturday, very mild into the mid to maybe even high teens, 15, 16 degrees. And even into Sunday, temperatures getting up to look at that 17 or even 18. Very pleasant indeed. And then look at Monday, much colder into the morning, but nothing too ridiculous yet. And by the afternoon, still 15, 16 in the south, not getting much above the low single digits in the north. And look at what happens into Tuesday. Widespread frost in the north to wake up to. And by the afternoon, really struggling around 4 to 8 degrees. And it's a similar story into Wednesday with more of a widespread overnight frost. And again, 4 to maybe 8 degrees. But as I said, that doesn't tell the full story. That doesn't sound exceptionally cold. For the time of year, it is well below average, a good 4 or 5 degrees below average. But it's the feel-like temperature. It'll feel very raw out there. And of course, this is one UKV run. Could do this tomorrow. Upper air temperatures a degree or two colder. And we're looking more at 5 or 6 degrees for the high. So don't take these numbers too literally, but you can just see big drop, 10 to even 12 degree temperature drop from Sunday through to Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, if you look at the latest synoptics here from the latest GFS, you can see it doesn't look cold at all. Southerly winds, but the high pressure is replacing low pressure towards Iceland, and you can see this east to northeasterly wind pushing in. Now, you can see later in the week, this is what I'm talking about, with the exact wind direction. If the wind comes straight in from Denmark, Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, and from Scandinavia, then we could go very cold. If it's more of a northeasterly, though, coming in off the North Sea, then it might not be quite as cold. You can see this -10 pocket of air there just to our east. So all depending on the exact wind direction. So uncertainty whether we do see that very intense air mass moving in. But regardless, looks very cold for eventually, perhaps later next weekend into the following week, we start to see some milder air mixing in. Takes it time, but slowly starts mixing in. And eventually we do lose that block. Milder air slowly taking back over. But even then, still blocking around, still southern tracking jet stream, so it still would be chilly, still would be below average, just not quite as cold, and would start to lose that wintry risk. Now, if you compare to the latest GM, again, southerly winds at the moment, eventually that northeasterly arrives. It's very cold into next week, and we're proper raw easterly potentially there out towards the latter part of next week. Eventually, similar to the GFS the following weekend, into the following week, it starts to lose its intensity and we see more of a westerly wind pushing in. But even then, it's still pretty chilly. Now, finally, if we compare to the latest ECM, though, if this has just come out, you can see again those southerly winds getting pushed away with northeasterlies. Again, very cold. Look at that, a flat easterly come next Thursday. Streaming cold air, potentially in off the near constant, for eventually milder air mixes in a similar time frame to the other runs. So they're all broadly very similar. Just need to sort of iron out those details now. Is it going to be 4 or 5 degree highs next week? Maybe 8 or 9 degree highs? The kind of couple of degrees subtle uncertainty in those upper air temperatures will decide between what we see exactly at the surface, potentially affecting the precipitation typing and exact wind direction, and any disturbances will affect the risk of any wintriness as well. So we'll have to wait and see for that. But for the time being, looking very cold into next week. Much colder than we thought a few days ago. It has intensified quite rapidly. And it does look like a pretty long cold spell, good 7 days here of cold, maybe even very cold conditions. And you see that well exemplified here on the latest ensembles. Look at this, 5 degrees above average, down to 6, 7 degrees below average come next week. The red line's where we should be. And we are above it at the moment, but well below it next week. And you see we stay well below it for much of next week, even into the following week. You can see those still deviations. All runs are cold. But are they very cold or just chilly, just a couple of degrees below average? We've still got a bit of a spread there, especially in that longer term. Precipitation doesn't look too high, so we are generally going to be dry with the colder air masses, lower dew points. There's less precipitation around, it's more convection based. The risk is still there, and some of it, as you can see here, could fall as snow. Definitely a high chance of some snow showers into next week. Not expecting anything major, but some snow showers, definitely plausible. And then the 2 metre dew points for much of next week below freezing, again, meaning a frost is quite likely. And we are likely to see Again, wintriness in those showers. And the 2 metre temperatures also look very cold. Look at that big drop from 15 degrees this weekend down to 5 or 6 at best next week, and only slowly rising. From the runs here, not for the next 2 weeks is it going to get back into the double digits potentially after this weekend. So a very cold feel there into the longer term. And if you do compare to the ECMWF, the midday run, unfortunately hasn't come out yet, but if we look at the midnight run, very, very strong confidence. The operational run was a bit of an outlier, a bit milder, but all runs pretty much down towards that -5 line, in and around that, very similar to the GFS with a bit of spread, but generally cold and potentially wintry at times. And you can see the 2 metre temperatures are also very cold, 5 or 6 degrees for much of next week, slowly rising back towards the double digits, perhaps around the 19th, 20th of March. So we'll see exactly how this does develop over the coming days, exactly sort of getting those details on the precipitation typing, precipitation amounts, and of course the exact surface temperatures. But generally speaking, it is looking very cold, and yet back towards something we'd expect to see in January and February. And of course, been after this milder spell, this warmer spell, you could argue, it is going to feel even that much colder. That contrast is going to make this feel much, much colder than if it was 10 degrees, 12 degrees today down to 5 or 6. It wouldn't feel as stark a contrast. But Sunday could be almost a summer feeling day for some in the south and the east, and then turning wintry into Monday and Tuesday. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.